Good evening. I call this regular market School board meeting. I order. Start. Please. We will start with our scheduled open hearing. The inhabitants of the town of Newmarket are hereby notified that pursuant to NHSA 19820C, the Newmarket School Board will hold a public hearing on planned expenditure of funds, the insurance and benefits expendable trust for the amount of $134,300 in the school technology expendable trust fund for the amount of $60,000. Additionally, we plan to expend a total of $169,700 to replace two sections of the roof at the uh, senior high school, with funding split between the school repair and maintenance trust and the school and capital reserve. This hearing is required under NHRSA 19820. Any public comment? 517. Commenters. I would close it also. Now open floor to comments as public. 3 minutes on item.
Oh, sorry.
Public comment on any agenda items.
Agenda or on the budget?
So, did you want to speak on the budget?
No.
Oh, on the agenda.
No.
Yeah,
The
Sure.
agenda.
Mike.
Oh,
sorry.
I just want to thank the one. I think they were sold out all. Glad club. Work. Trash. Maybe stop.
thank you.
Thank you. Work. 40 Valley. Thank you.
Close public comment at 5:19. Up is public correspondence. Word.
Nope.
I did receive correspondence from a community member commenting on the. I did receive a piece of correspondence from a community member commenting on a staff member. How wonderful that staff member has been, talking about wanting to honor that person. Okay.
I'm not sure if this is, can you hear me? Because I did someone who said that they watched the Channel 8, but they can't hear us because of the mic. So hopefully this will, but I can tell now that I'm on, so I guess maybe we have to hold the mics closer to us and make sure that our voices carry.
Committee
Liz couldn't be at the Professional Development Committee meeting this past week, so I attended in her place. We reviewed the professional development that was done over the summer, or excuse me, in March, and just went through some feedback from staff. Very interesting. I think there's some good future PD ideas.
Thank you for reminding me that Liz got excused from this meeting. She gave us permission to share that she is in Washington, D.C. with students in 97-degree heat. And Todd Allen is not able to be here tonight for this meeting, so our Assistant Superintendent Patty Watts is here. Any other committee updates?
This is going to be tricky. I have a policy update or a perspective update. The SB 101, the open enrollment bill, passed out of committee on Monday. It now will head to a floor vote in the House. And I'm hearing that there might be an amendment presented to have a study on this, because there are more questions than there are answers, but it did not seem like they wanted to really discuss everything that's going back and forth. So I don't know when that hearing, that date for that will be, but if anybody can contact your representatives and weigh in on that, that would be helpful. To have a study committee before this goes into effect. And also, if anybody read the Seacoast Online today, Portsmouth has a policy that they just passed on their board that would have 20 students come into the high school and 0.05 leave. And that's their total enrollment now. That's one of the issues, is they have percentages. So 0.01, 0.05 is 1.22 students. So it would be one student. Newmarket would be a one student. And Exeter would be two. So this is something that we'll have to be working on with the policy committee, because that's going to, even though they say it's not going to be in effect until September of 2027, we still have to prepare for anything. And another note, in the Merrimack Valley School District, which is Pennacook, Franklin, I believe Winnisquam, in that area around Concord, their superintendents, their districts just came into a consortium themselves to allow students to go to the other different schools for class courses. So it's so that was done on their own. They didn't need a bill to do that.
Right, next up is our student representative report by Sawyer Hill.
Thank you. So I'll start off with some sports. So softball had their first game on the 13th away at PCA. They ended up losing 2-1. And then their next game is tomorrow the 17th away versus Newt at 4 p.m. Baseball also had their first game on the 13th. That was at home versus Mount Royal, where they won 1-0. And their next game is also tomorrow the 17th away at Newt at 4 p.m. Track had a meet yesterday at Winnicott. We have a new school record in the 3200 by Ben Patrick with a time of 10 minutes, 34 seconds, and 11 milliseconds. And our next meet is the Sanborn Invite this Saturday at Sanborn at 10 a.m. Boys lacrosse had their first game also on the 13th at Oyster River versus Dover, where they lost 5-10. And then their next game is the 20th away versus Winnicott at 4 p.m. Girls lacrosse had their first game on the 15th versus Spalding, where they won 25-4. And their next game is also the 20th at Oyster River versus Winnicott at 4:30. Net Zero on May 10th hosted a roadside cleanup. Last Wednesday, the 8th, students in the second semester freshman seminar and some juniors went on a field trip to the Great Bay Community College. There they took a tour of the facilities and learned about all of their available programs they had. Today, we actually had a speaker, former Chief Justice of the New Hampshire Supreme Court, Judge John Broderick, came to talk to the middle and high school about mental health. He told his story and how his son had gone through some mental health struggles, and it was a really powerful story, and I think it was really important for a lot of the students to hear. Spring Fling is this Saturday, the 18th, from 7 to 8:30. The theme is Neon, and we have a new DJ, DJ Neto, who is extremely highly rated, so it should be a lot of fun and really good. Next week is Spirit Week. So Monday's theme is Neon, Tuesday's theme is Anything But a Backpack, Wednesday's theme is Green and Blue for Earth Day, Thursday is Plants vs. Zombies, and Friday is White Lie Day.
You know what? Not help.
That'd be a spoiler.
No, I just
Announce it. The student
Just-
body's watching.
just want to know who decided.
I'm not entirely sure yet. So next Wednesday on April 22nd, so on Earth Day, Net Zero is hosting a bike and walk to school day. So students who bike or walk to school get 2 tickets, one for a free baked good for a bake sale that's happening that morning, and then one for an entry into a raffle for baskets filled with environmentally friendly goodies. And then this past Wednesday, so yesterday, the top 10 of the senior class were officially announced. So in no particular order, we had Avery Amata, Emma Crum, myself, Pierre Rocek, Magnolia Redmond, Cameron Smith, Emma Serena, CNEM, and then the salutatorian was Spencer Bozek, and the valedictorian was Kaya Doberstein. That's all I have for you today.
Next month, thanks. Can you hear me okay? First of all, congratulations, Sawyer, for listed in that top 10. Quite a notable achievement, and you must be very proud. I know they're proud of you, too. And to piggyback off of Sawyer, which I think is always hard to follow Sawyer, but I'll do my best. I attended the middle school presentation of Chief Broderick, and if you haven't heard his story, it's just so powerful, and I really have to acknowledge our student body. I was at the middle school presentation this morning, and all of the students were so attentive and really, I think, understanding how important this message is, that we need to normalize mental health, that we need to speak up for our friends and go to a trusted adult if we're worried about our friend or maybe what our friend is going through, and that it's okay, and that we shouldn't feel shame, should never be associated with mental health. And his story is incredibly powerful, but I would like to acknowledge Jody Callanan, our Director of School Counseling, who organized this event. You know, she acknowledged and recognized one of the needs of our student body here, and it was just so well received by our students, and I want our community to know that I feel like our students understood, like Sawyer said, this important message. And so I just want to say thank you to the Council Department and to our students. And so I just have a couple of things I thought I would share. One is Newmarket Elementary School was recently recognized with a number of other elementary schools in the state of New Hampshire by our commissioner. And so Sean Pine, the principal of the elementary school, received a communication along with Todd Allen, our superintendent, to make us aware that a number of elementary schools were selected by the state, the New Hampshire Department of Education, for the growth that they've seen in our literacy for our students. So what New Hampshire Department of Education, they're looking at that growth, not so much perfection, but growth leading to very positive outcomes for our students. And I say saying to you that I've just been so proud of every single elementary teacher and staff and administrators at Newmarket Elementary School in the past 4 years that I've been here to really take on what is the science of reading, what does that look like in our classroom. And I just want to say that so many of the educators at the elementary school also registered for the letters training that was sponsored by the New Hampshire Department of Ed. And letters training is really looking at that science of reading at a more deeper level, but really what do the instructional practices entail? What does explicit instruction look like when we're talking about phonemic awareness? And what do those lessons look like in the classroom? And it's because of the teachers' hard work. Yes, we did implement in our second year a new literacy program, but I always say it's not the program. It's not the reading program that suddenly our students are doing so well in reading. It's our teachers. And it's the hard work and it's the effort that they've put in. What the program allowed us was structure. And something that we all acknowledge that some of that was lacking in our K-5 classrooms, in the consistency and the structure of what the components of literacy are and what are we teaching our children. Because we want it to be equitable in terms of every child, K-5, will receive instruction that is common in terms of the standards that we're teaching. And also the program allowed us to really expose our children to rigor and help our students with stamina when reading a tough text. And what does that look like? And we use big words like text complexity. Well, what does text complexity look like in a fifth grade classroom? And I think that all of that training and that exposure to rigorous, robust literacy and what our students deserve has just been so amazing and remarkable for me to see. And I was not surprised when the commissioner saw Newmarket Elementary School and wanted to let Principal Pine know that we see you, we see the progress your students have made. So as a result, what Sean had to do was respond to a survey. So what the commissioner wants to know is what are all of these elementary schools around the state of New Hampshire doing that their students are making this progress? Because we want to share that with other elementary schools that might struggle in the area of literacy. So Sean and I met and we responded to the survey and we talked about all of the different structures that we put into place to support our teachers. And a part of that too is implementing the school growth plan that started 2 years ago. Having a new mission and collective commitments among the staff, and what does that look like to transcend into the classroom. It's also the PLCs, which is an acronym for Professional Learning Communities, that every grade level has created a professional learning community where they look at student data, they look at student assessments, but they talk about their instructional practice. But what does that look like? And we call it teacher efficacy, which really means we have teachers talking to teachers. And we all know that when teachers talk to teachers, it improves our student outcomes. And that's what we're seeing with our students. So really proud moment, I feel, for Newmarket Elementary to have that recognition by the commissioner, and particularly for the staff and the students and their families for supporting their students. So that was what they want. Okay. Yeah, exciting. And then lastly, I want to speak to our junior, senior high school educators who have taken on such big tasks with the implementation of the new 306s in the fall and what that looks like, and also taking on a competency-based model, learning model. What does that look like? We are in our second, we're finishing tomorrow, our last group, where we're doing small sessions with educators that we find very much more impactful, just 3-hour sessions, so they're only out of the classroom for half a day. But they get that close professional development support with our colleagues that we're working with from New Hampshire Learning Initiative, and that's Ellen Howard, White, and Ann Hadwin. And so tomorrow our ELA teachers will be working in the morning, in the afternoon. It's our STEM, family consumer science, world language, and PE. And they have written their competency statements, and the tough work that they're doing right now is they're looking at assessment. And we're looking at what do our assessments look like, how are we reporting out on competencies and standards, and the words we're using is how do we validate assessments, that they are rigorous, that we're looking at the depth of knowledge that our students are demonstrating. We want to get to that 3 and 4 where our students are analyzing, but they're also synthesizing and creating new ideas as a result of their learning. So that's hard work of really digging through all those assessments. So I want to give my thanks and gratitude to the junior, senior high teachers who are working diligently in their own curriculum. So,
No, not at all. I echo something about creating assessments. As simple as it might seem, making sure that your assessment actually assesses what the learning that is happening is a very difficult task. How do you know that students learn what you wanted them to learn? So I hat it off to teachers as well. It's hard work.
May I ask Sawyer one question that I wanted to ask while he was giving his report? When you talk about going to Brighton Community College, do any of the high school students here go there for college credits or anything, do you know?
So I think a few students go to the college, but I know, including myself, a lot of people take online classes. Great Big Community College. But I can't think of anything specific.
But you can enroll there even if it's online.
Yeah.
What do you take?
I'm taking a U.S. history course.
Know that. I know what happened with that. All right. Moving on to discussion items. First one, exciting one. Our Administrator Brian Lee is going to report on the third quarter financial.
Refer to the so now that we're 3/4 of the way through the year, we can be more confident in the forecast for the end of the year. I was relatively conservative with our Q2 numbers. Q3 numbers are starting to get much more accurate, and we can continue to refine for the remainder of the year and more precise. So if you look at the expenditures and the encumbrances in the general fund as of March 31st, we'll have some budget savings in some areas. So looking at page 2 and 3 of the report, the drivers of the major variances that we're seeing in the expenditure versus the planned budget, they're still the same as they were in quarter 2. Of course, there's the school care assessments, which is the single biggest thing. One of the transfers to the trust fund will help with that. Also in salaries and benefits, we shifted more full-time equivalents to the SAS grant for half a year. That saves us $160,000. We also have some savings from 7 staff vacancies. That's one social worker, one psychologist, full pairs, and one tutor for every year up until now. The social worker position has now been filled, and she'll actually start Hanover in quarter 4. There's a position for her there. And we also filled one para position. So this payroll buffer will be partially offset by the unbudgeted health insurance costs. The health and full budget line is subject to be overspent by $529,000 this year. On the operational side, approximately $240,000 of savings in the staff vacancies is being used to cover unbudgeted special ed services that we contract out. Professional services is the only operations budget line with large and very currently for. Also positively affecting our budget is non-district tuition expenses. They're coming in significantly lower than budgeted. We're expecting 90,000 savings from SSD enrollment and 385,000 for special education. However, we are anticipating our student needs will change in quarter four, which may reduce our special education surplus by about 100,000. That may be on that addition. But overall, we'll get significant savings in that addition. Other budget categories, namely professional development and repairs and maintenance, we're seeing some surpluses there. We do expect more spending in quarter four, but we should see some pretty substantial savings. So summing that all up, general fund is showing so this expenditures as of March 31st, the general fund showed a surplus of $1.1 million. Factoring in anticipated expenditures for the rest of the year, it's still a conservative estimate of the unexpected balance in the year will be about $800,000. If there's no questions, I'll continue. Food service, I would say there's nothing to say about food service. You can see the numbers on page 1. But otherwise, I'll just take that one. For revenues, the local revenues, we expect to have 82,000 more than what was budgeted. This is from 2 out-of-district placement into Newmarket. Also, earnings on investments are higher, and some miscellaneous local revenue as well. Special education aid was 30% higher than what was budgeted. It's an extra $90,000. On the negative side, adequacy is coming in at 31,000 less than what we budgeted, and I expect Medicaid to be slightly lower as well. But overall, netting everything together, a conservative estimate of revenue surplus is that we'll have an extra 135,000. And that, I'm pretty confident in that, because revenue on that expenditure is already there. Additionally, we may get up to another 19,000 in year reimbursements for IT expenses. So, we should have that. Okay, so moving on to impact fees. The board has approved uses so far totaling 6,000. One is for upgrades that will expand electrical capacity in classrooms. The other one you approved recently for a feasibility study on a potential athletics field and track on school property. Overall, the school district has 234,000 remaining total impact fees available, and none of which will expire on December. Yeah. I don't know if my okay, so
What did you say?
Now,
What was the last thing you just said?
yeah, so 56,000 approved by you all this year. One was to expand the electrical capacity in classrooms, and the other is for a feasibility study for a potential athletics field and track across the street. Yeah, so overall, we have 234,000 remaining in inequities, and none of that will expire before the end of 2020.
So we have another.
I don't know if we've ever actually gone up with that. Basically, impact fees are good for 5 years of time to collect it. So any from 2021 would expire in 2026. So we're at zero for 2027, 2028, and beyond.
Okay.
Okay, so moving on to the trust funds. I did not have large numbers in time for this meeting, so I was reporting on the numbers as of end of February. So overall, we have an aggregate balance of 1.8 million. You can take a look at the table on page 8. This is down from the beginning balance on July 1st last year of 2 million. This is a net result of 265 coming in last year's warrant articles, combined with 526,000 trust fund usage that has been approved by the school board that we spent this year. I was actually expecting to have to present a bit more on the free transfers for the public hearing, but if there's no questions on that, I don't need to do that. But maybe I'll pause here if you have any questions. Because I think you still have to vote on it.
Yeah. If you could briefly go over, I think we're in a different place than we perhaps expected to be, so, things that we talked about.
Yeah, so there's 3 transfers. I'll go over each of them one. First is 134,300 from the Insurance Benefits Trust Fund. This was planned before the end of the school year, and this was basically to help offset the school care mid-year assessment, which in total was 418,000. You already know the backstory, but basically school care required this assessment because they had exhausted their reserves. This was from consecutive years of higher than expected medical claims. This was a surprise to all school care members, so this wasn't budgeted for. The current fund has $134,305, so that transfer would leave only a handful of dollars left in the fund, but the town voted from warrant Article 5 to put another $150,000 next year coming from the unassigned fund balance. Any questions on that one? Second one is 60,000 coming out of the school technology trust fund. This is to help offset the cost of purchasing network equipment next year. So this won't come out until fiscal year 2027. Jason plans to purchase a couple of network switches and some wireless access points. And this planned use of the trust fund money was factored into the 26-27 budget development process, and it enabled the IT department to come in at the target established by the school board for the budget increase for next year. Any questions on that one? Okay, and then the last one was 169,700 total, with funding split between the 2 school repair capital reserve funds. This is to replace 2 sections of the roof in this building. It's part of the 20-year capital improvement plan. The amount represents the full contract awarded to a firm called Academy Roofing, which was awarded the bid to do the work. This withdrawal will fully complete the money in the school repair maintenance fund. Currently has $104,000, any balance shortfall will be covered by the school improvement capital reserve. Currently has 995,000. That would leave a remaining balance of 929,000. And we would recommend that a warrant article be placed in next year's annual district meeting to close out the school repair maintenance fund. It serves basically the same purpose as the school improvement capital reserve. It's duplicative. And then as a reminder, the town voted to pass warrant article 6 to replenish the school improvement capital reserve with $100,000. That will help us keep up with those are the three trust funds transfers that are proposed. Even if you approve them, we don't necessarily have to go through with them, so there's one more flexibility. I'll just say one thing about the yields. This is the interest earned on these funds. So from July to February, the average return was 4.7%. That was a total gain of $9,000. In quarter 3, the average monthly return has been 7.9%. This is significantly higher than the 1.5% we got in quarter 2. So I don't know what that tells us, to be honest, in terms of interest rate expectations for going forward, other than there's potential for a lot of volatility. A lot of uncertainty. Okay, so my last point is just on the fund balance. From page 9 on the report, I created a table. It shows the allowable range for retained fund balance for fiscal year 26. This depends on the retention percentage selected by the school board. The amount retained last year was $856,843. That represented 3.75% of that year's net assessment. The equivalent of 3.75% in this year's net assessment would be $1,015,000. So I've tried to estimate what the unassigned fund balance will look like at the end of the year based on current assumptions and the most updated financial forecasts. So one huge benefit this year is we had restricted fund balance left over from the capital fund that will be applied to our bond payments this year. That basically freed up $215,641. If we go through with the planned transfer from the insurance benefits trust, that will be another $134,500. Add back in the $856,000 from last year's retained fund balance. Add in the forecasted revenue surplus of $135,000 and the forecasted budget surplus of $850,000. Assuming the retained fund balance reduction of 3.75%, so that's slightly over $1 million, and we need to appropriate $150,000. That was voted warrant article number 5 going into the health insurance expendable trust. The current forecasted fund balance at the end of the year is slightly over $1 million. So in summary, the overall financial picture is I think we're in good shape heading into the last quarter of the year. I think this forecast provides you with some flexibility to consider a range of financial strategies. You have a few levers at your disposal, the retained fund balance, as well as what to do with the trust funds. And we can present a few options to consider once all things considered.
So, thank you, first of all, Brian, for taking something that is. Can you hear me?
Might just turn these speakers down.
Okay.
They might be yours.
Talk loud. First of all, thank you for making something that is not easy to digest
very clear and understandable for me, speaking personally. When you say flexibility, theoretically, because we're in such a different place for the better, hypothetically, we wouldn't necessarily have to drain the trust funds in order to continue to stay steady with the amount returned back to reduce taxes and pay what we need to pay.
Based on the slope, not between 5 and 8,000, say.
Yeah. And then not necessarily have to, but still have the amounts and not have to drain those funds.
So the forecast, the budget surplus is obviously higher than that. You think it's just because of your kind of more conservative information here, or
The main drivers are fundamentally the same. We expected a lot of savings from tuition. We knew about the SAS grant savings. I was more conservative because we didn't know whether we'd fill the vacant positions. I tried to be a bit conservative in terms of spending with 6 months to go. Now that we only have 3 months to go, I'll be more confident that and the numbers where we'll actually end up. And I'll be doing this exercise monthly until the end of the year. Every month we should have even more confidence in the numbers.
Yeah, I guess I was just wondering, do we start thinking differently about how we budget, or do we just think about this in a fortuitous year and how do we kind of use that direction? Sounds like
Yeah, I guess I would recommend you think about targets you want to hit in terms of reduction in the tax rate, as well as what you want to put into the retained fund balance for next year. One thing I will say is that I think the uncertainty of many different things, given current events, is unprecedented in my lifetime. I would say we don't know what's going to happen with the energy market. We don't know what's happening with inflation. It's, or any contingencies you can build in would help.
slight age there, a little bit about his age. It has been impressive. I am tiny older, so that's something I remember, but yeah, I guess I'm thinking the same way. How do we take these funds and kind of sock them away for a rainy day? And obviously, the main tool we have for that is our trust funds. So definitely more consideration of how whether or not we remove anything from those. Earlier you said, if I heard you correctly, that we can vote on transfers tonight, we don't necessarily have to implement them, even if we approve them. Would you bring those decisions back before that a transfer was needed?
Yeah, we would present that option to you and you decide.
We just gave ourselves additional flexibility. Thank you.
The other thing I think we have to think about too is federal funds and state funds comes back. Do we keep getting cuts? Do we get some flush cash, or we don't know what's going to happen in those respects either.
I was just saying, what decisions do you need from us tonight, if any?
Yeah, so I don't actually know how that public hearing was before, whether it's supposed to be a vote.
Yes, we'll vote on it. Well, I guess technically we're not voting on it, but we'll vote on it at the end as part of our
The other two are access years.
Would that be, meet your timeline? The next, first maybe?
Yeah, I wouldn't wait longer than early May.
You could vote on.
So can we vote on it tonight?
Yeah.
You,
Oh, we've already opened and closed the hearing. Sorry.
What would be the benefit of waiting until the first of May or the next?
Probably just give us a night one time to clear.
But we can approve and it's just the ability to come back. Accordingly, not necessarily going through it. Correct. It would just be approving the ability to move it, not necessarily. Yeah. Okay, it's fine. Unless anybody disagrees, putting it on the last action.
No, I trust my judgment to, exercise some forethought here. And if it seems like it makes sense to bring it back, that's to bring it back. Otherwise, you'll pivot. I don't see why we should, keep track. For lack of a better phrase.
So, yeah.
And I won't do anything else.
I have been involved. It's amazing what we put together. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. The next item for discussion is about setting up our summer schedule. Typically, we have only one meeting in the month of July. So we had talked about taking it away from the week of the 4th of July and more towards the middle. So talk about the 9th or 16th.
They both work.
I personally would just prefer the middle one, in the sense that really feel like the middle of the month. But-
And then would be.
And then in August, it would be,
Or is that the regular?
then, in August, it would be, go back to
Two meetings?
the first and third, assuming that that's what we wanted to be for the 26th, 27th school year.
I'm with the 6th.
And look at Sawyer, but we don't need to know. You'll be at University of Maryland. Stop that.
Do we know who is, going to be replacement? Or doesn't that figure out?
Yeah, I was just, yeah. Go ahead and the items. That work for you, Pat?
Yeah.
Okay. And then we're keeping first and third Thursday, 15.
I think that's a good schedule.
The other scheduling item is about the high school awards night on June 4th. We need to talk about moving the board meeting potentially earlier time for those who attend, or perhaps moving the date of our board meeting, which I love that idea, and but
I can do that.
I prefer the 4:30 on the 4th.
Yeah.
Do either.
okay. All right, 4:30 it is. So that is the June 4th regularly scheduled school board meeting. We'll start at 4:30 and that has changed. Yep. And where will be there. Oh, yeah. You'll get the award there. All right. Thank you, swear. Congrats.
You swear?
Okay, next up are two MOUs with the Newmarket Police Department. They are about having an SRO at each school resource officer at each school. That's the first one, and that I believe the police department pays the salary of one, the district pays the salary of the other. And then the second MOU about the school camera is just authorizes the Newmarket PD to access our school camera should they need. Any. Yeah.
I have, okay. So on the first one, just the agreement having the SROs. Typographically, first and foremost, we've got like the apostrophe S as though they're possessive in a lot of cases where it doesn't need to be possessive, so we should probably fix that. And then there's one where maybe it's supposed to be an S apostrophe, or maybe it is apostrophe S. I don't know if we're referring to two SROs at the very end of the document where it says the SRO's schedule and assignment. School is not in session, will be determined by the police chief. That one might be right. I just don't know how many SROs that first case. That's the small potato stuff. What really concerns me in this is two statements when they're tied together. The first one's from the top section, and it says the SRO, as an employee of the Newmarket Police Department, is indemnified for loss or damage arising out of either intentional or negligent acts or omissions. That, when paired with the SRO will wear department-issued duty weapon or weapons in accordance with Newmarket police policies, gives me concern because that seemingly says with their weapon in hand, something could happen in school and damage or loss could be incurred at their hand, even intentionally, and we're indemnified. That just feels dangerous. Not with the police force that we have right now necessarily, but we don't know the police force that shows up a week from now, a month from now. Like, we don't know how that might change over time. So I worry about having them being completely indemnified for intentional acts of negligence where maybe we wouldn't allow a regular person to be indemnified if they had acted so.
So, I presume it's been reviewed by a legal group, I think it's the same. I know you do manually, or not part of that, so we check. I think we're indemnifying them personally, so that they're not held. Because obviously they wouldn't be held legally accountable if they did something potentially malicious. I think it's more about engaging in their activities as a police officer, damage occurs in school. Hypothetically, I don't know, a child could maybe someone was throwing something and they didn't break the window to get to that child. I think it's that sort of thing, but I'm sure we'd ask thought and I think this has been reviewed by
I don't doubt the intent. I worry about the edge case. That's all. The other question I have over the camera is just simply, I know it says that there's a record of logins, It also says, though, that they're supposed to test in every single day, or test by logging in every single day. So what sort of a session do they log in for? Are they able to log in at the beginning of the day, and then they're just logged in, and so they can see all day long every day? How does that work?
That one I can speak to Mr. and I chatted about that. My understanding is they are not looking at our cameras all day. That is not what the police department is doing. It's in the event of an emergency. So I think that the quick turn on or check in is just the system itself. And then if the police department is notified, emergency or whatever, the SRO or button is pressed or whatever, then of course they have access so they can see all the hallways if there's an intruder in the building. They have access to that, but they are not looking at our cameras all day.
Okay.
That's what's clear.
Okay.
Does it say logging, so it doesn't say access?
Exactly. There's the logging in part so that in the event there's a call to the police department, they can quickly then turn it off. They're just logging in like a yes, but they're not viewing all of our hallways. Put it that way.
Well, then that raises a further question. Do we also have access logs for when they look at the camera, not just when they log in? Because there's nothing about that in this document.
That's a good
So,
question. I think that's a valid question. That's good, sure.
okay.
We can ask that.
Okay.
I would have to clarify with Todd, but commenting on it, something happened in the parking lot, that they have to give, give access to, permission to access to see the footage.
Okay.
Maybe the police department will log in for us.
Yeah. Or even here.
It looks like we're tasked with maintaining the server on our side, so we'll probably be all right.
Yeah.
Because that's where.
Yeah. Any other questions or thoughts? Can't believe I didn't notice the apostrophes. My grammar radar. I think it's knowing I had lots of things to say.
Probably.
All right, the next item for discussion is, about school board goals. So, looking at, our school board goal brainstorm from the retreat on the 11th. Seems to come down to, 5 goals. And did we want to think about if we have thoughts on any of them, changing them, packing them to fewer, not? So certainly we can have time to review and take notes in order to refine them and have a final copy at the next meeting, but again, thoughts. Sort of.
It seems like a couple of them have to be consolidated because some of the goals are more action items that we possibly take. Whereas like if you focus on student activity and achievements, and then it's promoting more reviews of the district, we obviously combine those and very clearly. Wellness survey.
I do appreciate, and I know, Todd mentioned this as well, that our goals, the content of our goals, the brainstorm is very much, action items for the board rather than us giving go-ahead action items for others. So I think that is good that we're aligned, making
like what we put in mind, what we this meeting with kids.
Feedback.
Is this on Google Docs or is it shareable? To give people any benefits if you want to?
I don't think we can do that because it would be a meeting.
Oh, okay.
Even if we did.
But you could make it a copy and packets.
Okay.
It's in the back. School events. Which is, the last discussion item. We have, event night, which was this evening at 4:30. That's what Marcus just got dropped off from.
How was today night? Good.
Good. They do a lot of things, there was even an open mic night. There, all, it's all happening. And then, elementary school, Newmarket's Got Talent, is on the 21st at 6:15. Talent show. I think Sawyer already touched on, but I can walk to school day. For the high school, I think it's the entire district. It is district. District-wide. And then he mentioned the spring fling, for week at the high school. And April vacation is coming up, so there will be no school on April 27th through May 1st, in case any families still there.
And community members?
You won't see, school buses, you'll get places earlier. Faster. Any questions? No donations to acknowledge at this time. Moving on to action items. We do have 2 sets of minutes, so, I would take a motion to approve the April 2nd, 2026 regular school board meeting minutes.
I'll move, but there's one change. Ellen knows my daughter Karen, so she inadvertently put in Karen Elspended instead of Kathy Elspended on the board comments.
I'll second that.
Moved by Kathy, second by Harry. All those in favor?
Aye.
One abstention. Thank you. Okay, and then we have, the meeting minutes from the school board retreat, which was on April 11th in the library. Any notes on
That we move it.
Jeff?
Second.
Second by Harry. All those in favor?
Aye.
I would like to propose a motion that we approve the manifest in the amount of $716,000, $716,733.96 in April 26.
I'll second that also.
Moved by Jeff and second by Harry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Can I just add one more thing to the items? We talked about Turtle Fest, there's a Turtle Fest name.
Turtle Fest, turning west. We came last year. My daughter made some turtle earrings, I believe, public library. Did all kinds of crafts and activities, and they were on the raffle. Okay.
so she certainly has such a good feel for the community of Newmarket Elementary School and staff, and she's full of enthusiasm and excitement to start her career in this role, and she's so grateful to work with Newmarket. And then another new hire is Amy Mace, and Amy will be a new speech pathologist at the junior senior high school. And what's special about Amy is she's been working at the junior senior high for 2 days a week this year with a contracted service, and fell in love with the school and community and saw this opportunity. And my parents were really excited to continue that now full time with Amy. And she also has her master's from UNH in communication disorders. And then next we have Kara Clark Hartshorn. And Kara will be the new speech pathologist at Newmarket Elementary School. She has worked in Wyndham, and she has her master's in communication disorders and also a postgraduate degree with communication devices as well. She comes with a host of years of experience, and we are thrilled that she'll be joining the Newmarket Elementary School team. And then lastly is Lindsay Jordan. And Lindsay is our new district-wide social worker, and very excited to bring her into our community. Lindsay has a wealth of experience. She works currently with high-profile patients for the state of New Hampshire, and she brings with her so much experience of the various elements of mental health and how to support students and families and staff, where she can give that professional development, but also her connections with community, outreach and resource, all the things that we want in a school social worker. So we're very excited. We will certainly miss Laura Youngberg, who's moving in with her family to Midwest, but we're very happy to bring on Lindsay Jordan.
It's quite, if someone's been working here, and now they really want to stay full time.
Yes.
That's quite a,
That's a lot of experience.
yeah, it does.
All right, I would take a motion to approve the new hire teachers, Ella, Amy, Sarah.
I so move.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye. Speakers say aye.
We also
It's
have
pretty emphatic.
2 staff requests for the classes, and 1 request for an unpaid day off, and we all have them given their official note of approval, like superintendent Allen. Right, I'll take a motion to approve the request for time off, leave absences, and unpaid time off for 1 day. Second by Jeff. All those in favor?
Aye.
And then we are waiting on the 2 we next up have field trips to Maine. Try to have the same things on both first. We have, 7th grade teacher Andrew Wright is taking students to a field trip to the center for wildlife and keeping that in Maine on May 15th. That's out of state, so requires approval. And then 7th grade teacher Mark Beckett is taking students on a field trip to Fort Foster in February 4th on June 8th. I take a motion to approve.
I so
By
move.
Kathy. Second by Jeff. All those in favor of approving these field trips to Maine, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. And added to that, I would take a motion to approve the ability to make the transfers from the district trust funds outlined in the public hearing earlier. By Jeff. Second by Gary. All those in favor?
Aye.
And we are in need of a non-public meeting to, under RSA 91A3, Section C, to discuss the extension of the superintendent contract.
Sorry about this. May 13th, there, some of the school board members are scheduled to meet with the commissioner for an hour from 3 to 4. I mentioned this before, but if we can bring that at the next meeting, we can come up with some things, because I'm going to try to go. And if there are things you would like me to discuss on your behalf, I will be willing to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Yes. Good night.
Thank you.
Second.
Second by Jeff at 6:27. It's non-public. And, oh, Kathy?
Aye.
27. Aye. Harrison. Jeffrey?
Aye.
Not, Kate?